Hello, people, and welcome to the second episode of the European pod here on No Chofstes of the 25-26 season. I said 24-25 on the last one by accident. Double D, I am here as usual, and I am with my partner in crime.
Coach Kojo in the building, in another building today.
You look like you're in the trenches, bro. See?
I'm in a little box, but it's soundproof, so they can't hear me outside. I can't hear them. It's perfect.
Jeez, I need one of them in my house, mate. But what's going on? You good though?
Yeah, I'm calm, man. Yeah, been a nice weekend. Going to Wales tomorrow. It's gonna be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm good. How you doing?
Surviving, bro. Here, a lot of football and that. Watch as usual. That's the bit of escapism, bit of imagining right about now. But we're here, and let's definitely not. Well, Premier League football's all right, but let's definitely not talk about FPL, broski.
Oh yeah, no. This week, man. What actually was annoying me about that is the one decision I made with 2 minutes to spare. It was the Tottenham Bournemouth. I was choosing Porro and Senesi, and I benched Senesi.
Oh, look at that.
Clean sheet,
had an assist. Yeah.
14 points. Mamouche, I had enough of his behaviour the last week, so I was like, I'm going to bench you. 7 points on the board for him as well. There's 20-something points sitting on there, plus my other two subs. I was just like, this is...
It's peak, bro. In the dunya, bro. You get what I'm saying? So, right, as usual, if you've not listened to the European review here on No Chofstes, we go around Europe's top leagues, as many as we can. But if time's permitting, like today, it might be a slightly shorter recording. Then we've got a time limit here fitting into lunch breaks and that. So today it's gonna be Bundesliga, Serie A, and the Liga. It looks like, but given more time, we go to Liga 1, and we might even go to like the Premier Liga in Portugal or go to the Super Liga in Turkey, etc. But for the first time in doing this pod since the 1920 season, when it was just an audio pod, for the first time since when it was only the Bundesliga that was on during the pandemic, right? We're gonna do the Bundesliga as the first league in back-to-back weeks for the first time ever. And that's because last week I always forgot about your old mate, Eric Ten Hag. But this week I can't forget about him because after only 3 games in charge, 2 of those being league games, he's been sacked by Bayer Leverkusen already. Something that you were quite enthusiastic about, we can say. So before we go into him, because defo a couple of minutes need to be spoken about in regards to what's happened with Ten Hag. We'll talk about the game first. We spoke last week about the defeat at home when they took the lead. Jerome Quanza scored incidentally, did the Jota celebration. I got my Jota shirt on now. Rest in peace, King, and rest in peace his brother Andre Silva as well, right? And they lost 2-1 at home, right? Now here, they're playing Werder Bremen. They go 3-1 up. 3-1 up. Some nice goals in there. Werder Bremen have a man. I don't know what. Werder Bremen have a man sent off.
Yep.
Mark Flecken recently bought from Brentford. I don't know what he was doing to allow them coming off his line for a ball. He should have thought a bit more about coming before, and it was pulled back to 3-2. And then right at the death, all this pressure, which I can't believe how much space that Bremen were finding, considering they had one less man. They've hit the bar, and then the rebound's been put in, and they've got a 3-3 draw right at the end. Given you're a Manchester United fan, so you saw over 2 years of this, what's gone? First, in terms of the game, how did they end up mismanaging the game? And then we're going to get on to talking about Ten Hag directly, because don't get twisted. We, for instance, I'm a Liverpool fan. We conceded 2 goals to a team that had 10 men the other day, but then obviously were able to come through and win it. But surely here, put men behind the ball because they were still finding space. Like what was going on there?
An issue that I had when he was managing our club was the fact that in some games you could see that even though we were maybe a goal or two ahead, there was no element of control. And that was against 11 men, against 10 men. There was no element of control. And that goes down also to choice of whatever's going on. I'll give you an example. We'll go to the lineup because I had a great time doing this. All right, so you have 10 men. You score the penalty after to make it 3-1. You can start got sent off 2 yellows, and you score your penalty, make it 3-1, and then make it 3-2. When you make it 3-2, what minute was it? 76 minutes. Okay. This is my issue with him, right? You're under pressure. And it's crazy to say, as usually it's hard to play against 10 and 11 because they're a bit more defensive, a bit more structured, right? They're a lot more compact, and then they're going to try and hit you on counters. No, they were in control of the situation, complete control. When the Bremen were complete control. Your substitution was to take off Nathan Teller for Ibrahim Mazza. You made an attacking substitution when your team obviously can't handle the pressure that's been applied onto you. I am not a fan of having to make defensive substitutions, but when the time calls for it, you got to do it. He refused. And this happens time and time again in his management. Obviously, you can see the goal in the last minute of the game. But more to the point, bro, you can see it coming from a mile away. You can see if you watch the first game, you can see it coming in the second game. Ten Hag games are never under control. Never. And I'll keep saying it forever and ever and ever. The alarm bells rang off in my head the day Tottenham pulled off a ridiculously stupid comeback against them in the Champions League when he was the Ajax manager. I will never forget that because something told me that he does not know how to look out games. I understand you're managing the best team in the country, so you should win league titles, and he did. He did a good job there. At United, he got 2 trophies, but you could see even at United, whether the season we finished 3rd or whether the season we finished 8th, there was no game where you're like, Man United had complete and utter control of this game. Man United were the overall dominating factor, and as a manager, you have to find out the issue as to why that is. Like we're cussing out what's his name, Ruben Amorim at Man United, but Scott Parker could come out and say yes, it was 3-2. But Man United were immensely better. They made a couple of mistakes, obviously in the back. That's where we scored our goals. But overall, the 90 minutes they controlled the game. I didn't hear that word control under Ten Hag, and you're not going to hear it at Leverkusen. Well, you're going to hear it more either. But that's the point. So nothing about this surprised me. And if you don't mind, I just want to read this out very quickly, right?
Yeah,
it's been broken down by Build, and all of this sort of screams back to the last 2 years we had with him, or 2.5 or 2.25 years, whatever you want to say. He did not get along with anyone at the club, even his own staff that he brought to Germany. He interfered with the planning and only proposed players from his own agency. That SCG agency, anyway, a lot of those guys are now leaving my club again, so I'm not going to even get into that. There's no point. The players did not understand why doing push-ups was just as important as ball work. We understand how to be physically fit again, but they are professional footballers.
Yeah,
that's their bread and butter in the first place. The atmosphere in the club was extremely cold. The players had no idea what they were doing during matches.
apparently he didn't even give a team talk before the game against Hoffenheim that they the 2-1 defeat.
Yeah, sometimes the players said that. I remember who said it? One of the United players said after games you just not say a word and you just get ready and leave, and it's like you don't say one word to your players. You don't. That's a very weird thing. After a game, whether it's win, lose, or draw, they literally sit.
But that's after a game at least. If you don't say it beforehand, then in terms of the formation you set out, what individual instructions or you get the collective instructions have you properly given out to the team for them to understand and apply them?
I mean, I've heard of managers obviously like telling the team who's going to start the day before and what they want to do beforehand. So they get into the idea of, okay, so we're going to the game and I know I'm starting, so I need to be ready for ABCD, right? But then at the same time, you also have to at least give them a bit of a motivation. It's a bit of a team talk. Just to be like, okay, we're here now. Let's go out and win this game. It can be a 10-second speech. You have to communicate to your players. And if the same thing's being said at two clubs now, and whether he likes it or not, whether people like it or not, if you're a fan of Ten Hag and you think he's been done very harshly on that stuff, Bayer Leverkusen, literally a year prior to this last season, won the league and they won it unbeaten. So their standards have gone through the roof now. The standards have gone through the roof. They also got to a European final, unfortunately lost to Atlanta. Their standards are higher. So you need to meet these standards now, because they didn't win that league title to fall back behind Bayern. They wanted to win that league title to keep their momentum going. And it speaks volumes, the fact that you came in and a lot of your key players started to want to run away. I can't say it enough that if anyone in this world does not find it baffling that Granit Xhaka leaves a Champions League club
to go to Sunderland,
that should speak big volumes. And you can talk about Premier League for one, this and the other. They just came back to the Premier League. He's playing with players that are not near the standard that he's been playing next to for the last 2-3 years. I like Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like the level was different. So he's a player that wants to play at the best level. Xhaka is not a player that lacks ambition. He's given up Champions League football for Sunderland. Why? Hincapié was happy to line up for Leverkusen, and then suddenly he wants to run away. He's putting in demands. He wants to leave. Now he's at Arsenal. What's happened there? But this is what I think it leads to, and it speaks volumes that apparently the club went to sack him previously, because it looks like
that's crazy. I was a bit unsure about the appointment in the first place, but like it's crazy because also obviously you spoke of there in regards to the staff, like they've labelled him, even though he only had 3 games and was there for 3 months, they've labelled him the worst manager in the club history by some, which is crazy because the sample size is so small, but it goes to show you that there were really big problems going on there. Apparently he also said the players were unfit, linking to what you were saying about them questioning about doing the press ups, etc.
That's the thing that bothers me. If they're unfit, I understand doing fitness work. There's no, like, it's football, you have to be fit. There's no if doesn't lose about that. I will never fight Ten Hag on that, but fitness also comes through training with the ball and doing that. It's not only fitness, sharpness as well. So you have to be able to work on both sides. And look, me and you, we weren't on the training ground, so we couldn't see what he was doing first time. But if it's coming out from sources within the club or outside the club or close to the club, and they're all linking up and the story is not changing, then you were just not doing the right things to help your players. And the result is there. You're losing at home, you're drawing when you're in control, and you've got another 10 men. These are games that you should be coming out with 6 points, but you didn't. So, like, obviously, I won't be crazy to say, like, oh, I'm happy you got sacked. That's sad. Because I don't want anyone to ever lose their job. It's a hard world out here, no matter what kind of business you're in. Obviously, you win a lot of millions for his sackings at United and Leverkusen, but obviously, he's passionate management. So I ain't gonna be like, oh, shame. But at the same time, maybe you need to take us a bit of a sabbatical and just really refresh what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, because this can't be a thing that continues. He gets another job and he continues the same thing. It's gonna be the same cycle, man. I can be the worst manager in the club's history after 3 games, 2 league games. You can't. It's impossible. How? How did they been you this? How? I still get it.
No, it's madness. So what next for him? Do you think Saudi? But at the same time as well, obviously the board will know, and the issues will go deeper than obviously what has been exposed to us by the press. But obviously the fans of the club, surely losing that many players hurts as well. Tata Bayern, which is inevitable because Bayern have that Man United type hold. Obviously Bayern here are the champions, but even if they weren't, I'm sure Tar would have gone there anyway because it's the biggest club, you get me, in the country. So it's like Bayern could come way down in the table and people would still look to go there unless obviously they are pursued and are sold by the plan that a team, another team, like maybe a Premier League team or someone might come in. So the fans also as well, I would expect, would have dropped their expectations a little bit. So the board, knowing that because they know who they've lost, for them still to be able to cut the cord so quickly means we're going to probably be hearing more about this for at least the rest of the season, if not beyond that.
If I'm him, genuinely, I take a break from football. Genuinely, I'm not trying to take the mickey. Sometimes it's better to refresh and maybe think about what went wrong. Listen to the criticism. If any of it is constructive and not just sort of agenda based, listen to the constructive side of things. Talk to your staff who are pissed off with you and find out what went wrong. Like sometimes you need to reflect on these things and step away for a little bit. Don't rush into the next job. I understand football's your passion. You want to be at the touchline. You want to be coaching players, but sometimes just take a break away because this has gone horrendously wrong. And I don't think any club's looking at him right now. Maybe Ajax will take him back. That's the only person I can think of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I think a Saudi club or something might come calling for him, and he might go over there, do something, and then like come back to Europe after that, maybe after like a couple of years or something.
I think for free, won't be on the sun. Ronaldo will punch him. I'm telling you right now, you again. After I told you I don't like you, you sent me back for United. You again. All right, I need to come here. No way.
All right, any Saudi club but Al Nassr 10. But yeah, nah, man, I did question the appointment when it first happened, but I was thinking, are they sure? But yeah, this is mad because apparently they missed out on the likes of Harvey Elliott for the fact that he wasn't sure about going there to work with Ten Hag. So I'm sure that there would be other players that maybe they tried to get that happen. Shout out Nathan Teller though, brilliant assist for Patrick Schick's first goal, and Schick's finishes like his second one as well. Like he's coming to his own since being in Germany because he did his thing at Sampdoria, when Roma, whatever, didn't quite hit the heights they thought he would, but in Germany, he's been doing. Even there was a stage he was coming off the bench, especially under Alonso, just scoring freely. But I'll be very, very interested to see who they get in. Later on that day, last week we spoke about in regards to Eintracht Frankfurt, they won 3-1 at Hoffenheim. And we were talking about Bahoya last week, saying, is he going to be one of the guys that steps up to fill the void left by Mamouche and Ekatike? But we had a new man step up for them this week. Kitso Duan, brought from Freiburg, got a brace and set up the third goal, incidentally, as they won 3-1. His first goal was an absolute belter into the top corner, and he's balling out. And that's what I'm saying. We thought with the players that Frankfurt has lost, you thought there might be. It's still very early because then they could go on a bad run now. But this is a nice start for the season, scoring freely. 2 wins from 2.
No, they've got a good base though, isn't it? Obviously, Koch, is that his name? Koch, is his name? Theata, Collins, they've got a good base.
Oh, who the former Leeds guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be Cock, mad pause, but I think it's actually pronounced Cock. Mad like Rob.
What is your name? We'll say it, man. Yeah. But no, they've got a good base there. Look, they've also recruited wisely, I think. And you can see that in the signings, and obviously the guys are getting goals. So look, it's early, but it's a good start.
And Fig's injured, isn't he? So Bergkamp, or I believe how you pronounce it, he was out. So they've got a couple of people out that what's it called, that need to come back. So yeah, I'm expecting some things. I'm expecting some things from them. CG life after Mamouche and Ekatike might not be as unpleasant for them as we thought, but we'll still be keeping tabs on that, obviously. Bayern Munich almost threw away their hard work in the evening match on Saturday. They were 3-0 up against Augsburg. Lovely first goal, lovely ball in by Harry Kane. For the first goal, headed in by Serge Gnabry. The second goal was a lovely goal as well. Elise to Conrad Lima cut it back, and then Luis Diaz scored. Redeemed himself because in the first minute he missed an absolutely diabolical chance to start the game in the first minute of the game, and then the third goal, Michael Elise sent the defender for cheesecake, bro. Before. I think he was still sliding when the kickoff was being taken. You get me, for 3-0, but they almost threw it away because Augsburg fought back and then had them under pressure and almost brought it back to 3-3. But Bayern held on for a 3-2 win there. So business as usual for them as they're scoring freely. 9 in 2 games. And Dortmund won 4-0. Some beautiful goals in that. The Guirassi's second goal when he did that flick. Played the 1-2 and then the clip over the goalkeeper. Yeah, man, that was just like, whoo. That was on Sunday. They beat Union Berlin 4-0. So yeah, we'll leave Bundesliga there and we'll go to Serie A. Now, in terms of our Serie A talking point, Cremonese, newly promoted, beat Sassuolo, who've also come back to Serie A after being out for, I think it was just a season that Sassuolo were down for. But yeah, so a big win for Cremonese. They beat the team that they've come up with 3-2. But also, in regards to them, they have brought in Jamie Vardy.
Oh yeah.
I thought Vardy was going to go to. I know there was talk of him going to Sheffield Wednesday at a stage because obviously that's the team he supports. But with their financial difficulties that's going on there, that didn't materialise. There was even very mild talk of Manchester United getting him in as a backup to the big money signings that they were coming in, as well as other Premier League teams and Championship teams being linked to him. So I thought he'd stay in England. I wasn't expecting this, but Cremonese are really excited about it. You had Fischella came on Talksport and he was talking about all the people that play Italian FPL, like Italian Fantasy League, are all getting Vardy in. They're really amped about this, and we know that obviously with the pace of Serie A being slightly slower than the Premier League, it's easier for the older heads to go there. We've got Modric going there. What is Modric, 38 or 39 now?
Yeah.
KDB not as old as that, but he's gone there, started off okay with Napoli. And I think, seeing as they play so attacking and open, I think Vardy's going to do okay. It's just a 1-year deal, but obviously they can extend it. But yeah, Cremonese, obviously spoke about them. We gave them a glowing report last week because they beat AC Milan 2-1. And they're continuing on 6 from 6. Cremonese title win. No, I'm playing. But like this is very interesting. I'm going to be watching them closely this season, probably after my own Inter Milan, who will get to shortly. But yeah, Cremonese for now, and some good goals in that 3-2 win as well. But how long can they keep this up for?
No, as long as they want to, they've got the determination to try and win games. Even if they lose next week, I wouldn't say the momentum stops. They just need to try and continue it. I mean, they've got players that sometimes players I forget about. Franco Vasquez, Antonio Sanabria. That was one of my. He's 20,
guys, that was a good player.
He's 29, almost 30 now. So that was 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago. I signed him on a foot manager because he's going to be that next guy. And then you go and watch him.
I knew FM was going to come into this.
You go and watch him on your TV and be like, oh, is he the real deal? Like, oh, he might be that good. But no, look, they got some talented players in there. Obviously, they won't carry this on forever, but we had they don't have the riches of Como, but obviously Como have come in and set pace with how you can come up and sign some decent players and start playing some good football and get some results. I'm not expecting to do a Como type season, but they could do enough to stay up. So yeah, it's been a good start, man, and I'm happy for them. I'm very happy for them.
I didn't know that Odero was their goalkeeper. I mean, they almost threw this away. They were 2-0 up. Sassuolo pulled it back to 2-2. Pinamonte with a good low finish, and there was and Vardy made it 2-2. But then De Luca with a penalty in injury time for them winning 3-2. Then how do you think Jamie Vardy's going to do that?
Oh, Vardy's definitely scoring at least 10 goals there. You obviously mentioned the speed of the league and everything. He's a potent goal scorer, which is one thing that he still has his finishing. So put him in the right places and he'll score. And the one thing I like about him is he's so instinctive. From the first we saw him in the Premier League, and one thing we know about him is instinct. He just knows where to be. Just kind of the number 9 that we desire for these days. You know what I mean? If he was 10, 15 years younger, he's going for stupid amounts of money. So, just put him in a position to score goals, and he'll get you goals. That's what you can ask for. So, Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Yeah, 10 as a minimum in the league. But all competitions, I'm not sure, but 10 definitely is a minimum.
Yeah. Is he going to come up off the bench at first, or how do you think? Because obviously, as you just pointed out, Sanabria and Franco Vasquez have been scoring, so it probably
If,
might be a case where he'd have
if
to work his way into
um,
the starting lineup.
I mean, yeah, if players are in form, you don't drop them. But if there's a way that he shows he's part of the system, or he fits the system, and he's ready and firing, ready to go, you got to start him sometimes. You know what I mean? I wouldn't delay something like that. Sometimes you got to be like, what, he's ready. He can play. Just get him scoring. Simple as that. He will score. Like he will score. But also at his age, and also actually no, it's not about his age. It's score. You need competition. You need rotation anyway.
Yeah,
So they shouldn't be afraid to blood him when they need to. If he's starting, you start him. If he's not been the best trainer, or you've got two players in form up top, and they're working, they don't need to be changed. He'll sit on the bench. I don't think he'll be someone that complains about that. He likes to challenge. He likes to test. You see that he likes to push the buttons of the other players because he wants to get in their place and play games. And I think they'll embrace that by him. So yeah, I think he'll be fine, man.
I'd love for them to go on like a Girona type run, like we had in obviously it's early doors, like we had in the Liga a couple of years ago, because I want to see how they fare with the formation they play. It's like more or less a 3-5-2. I want to see how they fare when they play the likes of Atalanta, who play that system, or Inter, because Kivu has kept three at the back, like what Inzaghi had, and just to see how they're going to match up in those games in the midfield battles. I think they're going to be quite intriguing to see what happens there.
There's a lot of three-man defensive type, the three-man at the back type formations in La Liga and for Serie A. So it'll be an interesting test. But I wouldn't worry about those games just yet. You need to worry about beating the guys that are around you more so. Obviously, when they come there, Inter, AC, Juve, the teams that have the reputation, do your best to beat them, of course, or try and get a point or something, but focus on 10th and below. Get points from them, and then build up. That's what
yeah. They were after beating Milan in their first game back. They won't fear those teams though. But yeah, we'll see how that
10th and below. Precisely. There you go.
Napoli, the champions, left it late but got a late winner from Anguissa in the 95th minute to edge past Cagliari 1-0. They were knocking on the door, and then even Cagliari came up the other end and brought a chance just over in the second half, so almost nicked it, but they finally got a goal. And considering how hard they fought, the goal just seemed so, like the ball came into the box and it was like they were tired and they couldn't close out to Anguissa, and he's been able to control it and to just slip it low into the corner. I was like, man, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Because at that time that happened, I'm thinking, boom, they've squeezed through there. I was hoping that they would drop points, not knowing that the next day, coach, my Inter would fall at home to Udinese after taking the lead as well. Denzel Dumfries gave them the lead. Then Keenan Davis, yeah, I didn't even know this guy was still about, yeah, the former Aston Villa man, yeah. We know he's a strong forward in that lot, but he was never renowned for the goals. But he scored from the penalty spot to make it 1-1, and then Atta with an absolutely brilliant strike to make it 2-1 for Udinese. Inter thought they equalised in the second half, but DeMarco's goal was disallowed. And then in the end, Udinese have held on to get a very valuable 3 points. This is the thing when you review early in the season. Yes, it's early, so there's over 30 games left. But because it's a home game against someone that you expect to beat, you say, okay, even a draw you look at as a bad result, but a defeat, man. I don't know whether you could call Inter lackluster or what, but this is the baptism of fire for Kivu. You have to basically say, because I'm sure he would have cussed him in the locker room, in the changing room rather, and then we'll see how they react to it, because obviously they're not gonna. Though he's a former Inter player, was a quality defender that can play left back and centre half. Because of what Inzaghi did to them, this adjustment issue, the teething problems. If he reacts angrily to them, how are they going to react or whatnot? I just don't want, because you know, with Inter's board with Zhang and that, what's been happening in recent years. I just hope this isn't an early madness that's going to unravel our season, and we're not even going to be floating around as high as we should be.
I mean, they fell asleep. That's for sure. They fell asleep. That's for sure. And the substitution baffled me a little bit, because he took off 4 of the 5 in the midfield, and then he took off Achobi, which Achobi's an old man, but it is what it is. But it just looked like he didn't have I mean, look, I'm all for risk, so I understand the idea of taking risk, but I think taking off 4 midfielders, or I don't know if you want to count DiMarco as part of the defense as a wing back, or however you want to see it, just screams like I don't really have an idea what I'm doing. Just gonna plug everything on and just see what happens. He's still new, man. So I'm not gonna get on his neck just yet. I haven't got enough evidence to say whether I think he's great or not suited for this job. A part of me feels like his brand of football doesn't suit 3 at the back. But I also think he's come in and seen the squad, and because Inter Milan have been basically playing 3 for God knows how long now, he doesn't want to change it. Take it from me, who has a manager who's having the best record right now, but it's information. Sometimes you need to do these things and just sort of weed out who is not going to be the guy for the next this and the next that, right? In that whole squad, because I think his football suits 4 at the back, or what he wants to play suits 4 at the back, and I don't think he should be afraid to change it. Then whoever is not cut out for it just isn't cut out for it. Inter Milan didn't have a bad year last year, but they lost the title on the final day, and they got absolutely walloped in the Champions League final. It wasn't even close.
Lost the to Milan in the Super Cup as well, didn't they? Was that Super Cup or Italian Cup one? But yeah, they just fell at the last hurdle and everything.
And that might be a case of the squad just not being able to go at the final. Look, it's one game, so that's why I don't want to overanalyze. It's very early. I just think, looking at the early assessment, I think he prefers 4. And correct me if I'm wrong, when he was playing, he was in the back 4. So, I just think maybe he just needs to adjust that. But that's just my assessment so far. It's one result. I'm not gonna go into his neck right now. I just think he needs to try and address it, win the next game, and then just try and focus from there. But maybe he's building towards something. But I think that you just can't be afraid. If the back's not going to work long term for you because your brand of football requires something else, go the other way. And I don't see an issue with that. That's it's not a Premier League talk, but that's the reason why I respect Amorim, because no matter what people say about the results, which the results are horrendous. It's a results game. Football's a results game. So if you don't get results, you're fired, right?
Yeah.
But he's got his philosophy, he's got his brand of football, and he wants to play it. And if you look at people that love stats, I'm not a stats guy, but for people that love stats, he's getting the team to be creating the most chances and getting most touches in the opposition box. So what they're not doing is hitting the ball in the back of the net, and you've seen it enough times, right? So if Kivu, if he goes too far at the back and you start getting into the situations where you might not be winning every game, but you can see the difference is changing and it's getting better. But it's just that final element they're missing. I'll forgive that 100%. So I just think he should be a bit more brave on his football and his formation style. Just because they're doing something for so long doesn't mean you should stick to it. Sometimes just change it. If they're going to sink, they'll sink. And that'll be the same for someone like a Bastoni, who I think is really good, or Barella. If they can't do 4, if they can't do a 4-3-3, they can't do a 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, then let them whole bench for those that can, and we'll get you results. That's football. It's what it is. So yeah, that's my assessment. Because I don't overanalyze too much. It's very
better to be making chances than not. making chances. This is the thing, like with the fine margins in it, because it had that DeMarco goal not been ruled out for the offside that there was in the build-up, we're sitting there and saying, yeah, it's 2 points dropped, but etc. You get me? So like it just goes to show you like how tight these things can be. Dusan Vlahovic, who we thought might be forced out of Juventus with Jonathan David coming, but then with Kolu Muani, who Juventus are trying to get because he spent the second part of last season on loan there, started well, Kolu Muani, and then tailed off. Vlahovic again off the bench and got the winning goal as Juventus beat Genoa 1-0. Towering header from a set piece, poor marking by Genoa. So after all that and talk, I was saying wasn't sure why Newcastle didn't try and bid for him. For example, he scored 2 in 2 league games for them, and it's going to be quite a competition with him and Jonathan David. It might even be a case where Igor Tudor thinks, you know what, we go with 2 of them from the start for a run of games. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, nice option to have, nice problem to have, as they say.
Sorry, I didn't cut off there. Say again.
The event I was talking about, Juventus winning at Genoa. And I was saying that a nice problem to have in regards to whether or not to continue to start with David Vlahovic off the bench, or he might play some opposition where he feels to play both of them.
Yeah, I mean, the Vlahovic thing for me, obviously, it's not a managerial issue. The club have signed him, given him a stupid wage, and they've just don't know how to handle it. And you know, you pay for your crimes in that sense. He didn't force you to give him that contract. If he asked for it and it was ridiculous, you say no. But in terms of now coming into the manager, it's good. It's a good problem to have. Indeed, you're right. It's a good problem to have. You have 2 players that are ready to score goals. You know, Vlahovic is really a proven Serie A goal scorer, and I think he's severely underrated. I know a lot of people don't like him. I don't really know why.
Competent shooting on both feet, good in the air. Like I don't know why his rep was tarnished at a stage. Like he was one of the hottest properties about leaving Fiorentina. Went Juve. Some thought he would go abroad, and like people talk about him like he's not a finisher, but you know.
You know what I think is, maybe not so much in Italy. Obviously, I don't talk to Italian fans. I'm not in Italy to give an assessment. But what I have a theory of is the last name that started off fire had a big move and it didn't work out the way people assumed it was going to work out was Piatek. Piatek started on fire. His name popped out of nowhere. He was scoring goals. The celebration. He was doing everything. And then he got his big move and he sort of just faded out. Now, that hasn't happened with Vlahovic. He hasn't faded out. But Juventus's results haven't been good enough. So in this era of football, they often, unfortunately, lay that on the shoulders of the player that's been purchased for either a high fee or a high-profile purchase, if you would. So Vlahovic being really good at his previous club and then going to Juventus, scoring goals, but not maybe winning the accolades, they put down his shoulders. And you see that with the best of players. When Ronaldo went to Juventus, Ronaldo won, I think, 2 league titles. But the year he didn't win a league title, it was, well, he's scoring goals, but he's a detriment to the team. I'm like, well, that can't be right because he's winning another league title there with them. So
the irony with when Cristiano was at Juve was that the 2 seasons they won the league, he didn't get the Golden Boot. Quagliarella got the Golden Boot the first season, and then I think the second season Immobile got it. And the season he did get the Golden Boot there, they didn't win the league.
No, absolutely. But the Golden Boot is based off obviously if who scores more than the other person. In those 2 league seasons when they won the league, he still scored goals.
It's not of course. I'm just saying that.
I mean, you're not wrong. But the point for fans that they don't seem to get in their head is, oh, yeah, he won the Golden Boot. They didn't win the league, so he's obviously a detriment. No. In other teams, obviously, still, he might have not been the top goal scorer that year, but he still scored the goals and they won the league title. So sometimes it's not about blaming the player. Football these days loves to blame the individual. If Vlahovic was sold this summer, and Jonathan David scored 20 goals, but Juventus finished 5th, they'll talk about Jonathan David next and say he's a detriment to the team as well. That's the era of football we're in right now, and I don't like it because I feel like they don't seem to understand that that's what a striker is supposed to do. Everyone else around him also has to do their jobs. So, you can't blame a striker for scoring so many goals and say he's a detriment. No, he's done his job. If he was a detriment, he wouldn't be scoring goals. He wouldn't be found.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just think he's been hard done by. But that's my opinion of Vlahovic, and I think it's a great problem for them to have. I don't see an issue with them. I don't see the issue of the club still trying to get rid of him. Just talk about terminating his contract, all that stuff. Come on, man. You've got a good striker there, and you've added another one on the free. Please use them. You haven't won the league titles since when?
Yeah.
Utilize them. Get goals and win titles again.
Yeah. I hear you, bro. Right, so we'll go over to the Liga to wrap up this week's pod. And Atletico Madrid, an indifferent start to the season for them. They blew a lead in their first game and now dropped further points. They took the lead early on against Alaves. The manager's son, Giuliano Simeone, gave them the lead, but then the penalty leveled up for Alaves. But what is obviously they've brought in people, Hanjko at the back, Baena, etc., not fully fit yet, etc. Are they just going to take time and then just go on a winning run, or what can we take from these opening few games for them?
I have a similar feeling to last season about Simeone's time there. I think it's coming to an end. And again, I could be wrong, but there's something it's not clicking. And look, again, it's early in the season, so I don't want to draw. They could go and win the next 10 games. So, I don't want to write them off. It's not a write-off, but I had this similar feeling last season where, honestly, I feel like he's there 2 years too long. And that's only also not only, but it's also based on the fact of how they've been spending money the last couple of years. I think they've gone against what he wanted to do to try and force another style of football. So he's got these players in, but obviously they can't get a better manager than him, in my opinion. So I think that's where they're stuck, and they obviously love him. They respect him so much. He's a legend to the club. So it's not. I don't think it would be a discussion of we're gonna sack you. I think it's gonna be a discussion of are you walking away. I just think he needs to walk away at some point. This result obviously wasn't good, but I mean, I'm looking at subs again right now, and like Hanko, Gallagher. So you want to go a bit more attacking, maybe. Griezmann came on. I don't know why he's not starting Griezmann. I understand Sorloth is quite good. Alvarez is very good, but Griezmann, no matter how old he is, I think Griezmann is still ridiculously your best striker.
You can put him anywhere on the pitch or make a difference, man.
Exactly. I just don't understand that one to me, and I don't know why you bring him on so late. 17 minutes for a player of his quality is enough time to change something. But when the other club are not the favourites and they want to just get a result, they're going to make it difficult for him to get chances. I don't understand starting Simeone. I know he scored, but Simeone at right side. Thiago Amado, who is very much a central player playing on the left. Feel like he's just forcing people in without, having an actual game plan, which is crazy to say because Simeone always has a game plan. But yeah, I think if he has to score, then what he's been trying to do, I think time's running out, man. So if I'm him, I'll walk away at the end of the season. But look, it's only 3 games in. He could win the next 10 games, and we can have
and then obviously it completely changes things. And
I will say, even if that happened, if they won the next 35 and won the league, I still think he needs to walk away. Honestly, I think he needs to go to the next chapter now. That's it's been my opinion for the last 2 years, and it won't change. I respect him highly. I think he's a top coach. I just think sometimes you just got to walk away from areas and start new somewhere else. And I think he's done an amazing job there, so he doesn't need to be there anymore. That's just how I feel about it. But, yeah. Not a bad result. 2 points out of 9 though. Oof,
it's a mad. Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. They later on that day, their city rivals, Real Madrid, came from behind to beat Mallorca 2-1 with 2 goals in a minute. Had 3 goals disallowed in this. Mbappe had 2 disallowed, and then Arda Güler had 1 disallowed at the end of the game. But it was a bit more adventurous from it. The first goal, Mbappe got disallowed. Brilliant ball by Trent, who's through Mbappe controlled it, good finish, but was disallowed for offside. But this was a bit because they were booed after their first game. We reported on when they played Osasuna. This was a bit more lively from them. It's like Alonso sat there and thought, yeah, we need to be a bit more sharp in terms of the attacks, man. And they got the crowd involved in this because that there was a ball fest that game against Osasuna, their first home game, but this was much better from them in terms of the attack. It was only 2-1. It could have been much more.
I think they're just getting used to Xabi Alonso's brand of football. It's very different from Ancelotti. The one thing I love about Ancelotti is he coaches how I love my team to be coaches, the element of freedom. It has to be free, whereas coaches like Xabi Alonso, Mikel Arteta, all these guys, there's a structure. Whether it's free-flowing or it's rigid, there's still a structure to it, right? In terms of how they want you to build up and how they want you to play. So I think they're just getting used to that. But I think the key thing now is the response. They went down, bit rattled up, and they scored 2 goals in 1 minute. That's what you want. Back-to-back goals. Get control of the game and just see out from there. When you score more, you don't. Doesn't matter as long as you get the 3 points. So I think this getting used to his football. I just think that's what it is. And I think also what's really good is for someone like Vinicius. I don't know if rattled is the right word, but for someone who was he was a certain starter.
Yeah,
he got number 7 shirt. He's back.
Exactly.
That game when he was benched.
Last game was benched, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's come back with that bit between his teeth. Forget me, yeah. Sometimes coach, you need to do that to wake up to wake a man up because they're settled and think that
Well, again, it speaks to the change of when people say the game has changed. For me, the actual game of football has changed. Tactics have always been there, structure's always been there, build-up's always been there. Obviously, the terms change over the years, and people get a bit fruity with the names and all that stuff that you want to use. That's fine, but these things have always been there. It's more so about how the players are looked after and dealt with. And from the first time I heard Samir Nasri speak about he left Arsenal to go to City because he knew that no matter what happened to Arsenal, he'd always start. There's very few players in the game that have that attitude. And if they're benched, their reaction is wrong. Vinicius Junior said, "Oh, you're benching me? Then I'll show you." Yeah. And he came off the bench, impact, and now he started this game, impact. That's what he finish. That's what he needs to encourage. And one day what happened to Mbappe? Mbappe sometimes has like a run of like 5 games that are not very good. And one day someone else is going to look at him and say, you're being benched. And
he technically already got his Mbappe, didn't he, at PSG from Enrique? Obviously, we knew the plan was always the long game was always to go to Real Madrid on a free. But Enrique was talking about him playing for the team and the lack of pressing, etc.
No, but the issue I had with that Enrique thing, and Enrique can feel a bit justified now because he's got the Champions League with PSG and the squad is a better squad. But my issue with that is you can't talk to a player like that and not show him level by not benching him. You need to show him authority.
Yeah.
You're not working for this team. I don't care what the higher ups say. This lineup, you're not starting. Go and complain. Go and complain. Because when these guys go on the pitch and perform and get a result, I'm going to come back to them and they're going to say, why do you stand back? I'm going to say, did you see what happened on the pitch today?
Yeah.
Did you see the level of performance today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what you're looking for. So for someone like Vinicius, who has been so used to being a starter at Madrid no matter what, he started poorly, so he was benched. And that's the end of discussion. And I like that because now he's come back with a fan in his belly. You can see that from the way he was getting the ball. You can see the way he was approaching. And do I like about that as well? I think that's there a fire on the area of the play as well. Because Mbappe is starting games faster. And he's managing games better now. Because he knows he's not safe. No one's safe. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be comfortable ever in the football team. You just shouldn't. I don't care how good you are. The only 2 players in this world that I've seen from start of their career to end of their career that can say I feel comfortable are Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo because no one hit their standards. It's simple as that. And they maintained their standards. You know what I mean? Even if they had a poor run of games for, I don't know, 2, 3, 10 games, Ronaldo sometimes had a poor half season. But then he'll rectify it by the next season, just ridiculously scoring a stupid number of goals again. You need to do this with these players. You know what I mean? You're not Messi, you're not Ronaldo, you're not even Neymar. So until you're that level, I don't hear it, and I like that. I like that about Ajax also. So he's a solid authority, and good on him. Good on him.
I hear you. So, and then last game we'll do in the Liga actually. Barcelona early dropping some points in the season. You finished Real Vallecano 1, Barcelona 1, and in the end, to be honest, Barcelona were slightly fortunate to hang on and not be beaten in this one. They took the lead. Actually, Rio, the Romanian right back, had a glorious chance at the start of the game where he ran in and no one followed his run, but then the keeper was able to make a point-blank save. Yamal was then fouled, picked himself up, scored the penalty to put Barca on. Rashford came on a little later on. I actually had a feeling that Rashford would actually, obviously he's still early again and he's got to acclimatise exactly to the Spanish league and what Hansi Flick wants from him. But I was wondering whether or not it will come to a stage where they'll go Rashford left, Rafinha in the 10 as he operated in sometimes last season, and then Yamal off of the right, cut into his left foot because Ferran Torres up top, obviously until Lewandowski is fully back fit, and then obviously he'll play there regardless of age, right? But a great finish for Vallecano to make it 1-1. And then they had a goal disallowed and one onto the roof of the goal. And Barcelona were just hanging on, so they'll be thankful of it's away, so it's not as bad. You don't want this to happen at home, but they'll be thankful that they were able to hang on and get a point. You get what I'm saying? That could have been one of those early season upsets.
Yeah, no, it could have been. Vallecano have a decent team. I think sometimes their squad is a bit underrated. I like Luis Felipe. I like Pedro Diaz. I like Palazon a little bit. I'm not a big fan, but I see what he brings. But you gotta be wary against these teams. But the one thing I always say is, no matter the era, Barcelona can always be beaten. I'll always say that you gotta be able to play your strengths against them when you get the chance to, because Barcelona always sometimes give you a chance or a moment to utilize what you have against them. And this team is a good team. It's a very good team of Barcelona. But I think Vallecano played this game perfectly. They went behind and they didn't rest. They kept on going. And they got a well-deserved point. They should. I think they could have won it as well, absolutely. But they got a well-deserved point. They won't be mad at that at all. The Barcelona again, enough to panic about. 7 points out of 9 is not horrendous. Just obviously we want to come back with a revenge win next week, so they probably will do that. But the week after international break, God. Not much to really analyze here. I think just they'll have to pick it up next game. Go from there, really. I think that's the best you can say for now. But it's not a bad result. It's terrible.
Just trying to see when they come back up. There'll be no Europod next week, people, with it being the international break, but we wanted to get this one out as quickly as possible. Atleti Villarreal, when we return, coach, to actually, and Barca Valencia as well, when things return after the international break. So it'll be Real Madrid are away at Real Sociedad as well. So we've got some interesting fixtures that will be dissected on the return. So we're going to find out. I've got a feeling Sociedad are going to beat Real. You know,
they might do. It's not. It's definitely not a. Definitely not a given win for sure. So it's your mention, but you know, I mean, you know how I feel about Valencia now. So I hope Barcelona gives them 10-0. But you know, it was more, to be fair. And Atletico also have a tough game, so with Villarreal. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Excellent. Right. So we'll leave it there. for this week. Then, as I said, when we have more time in regards to it, we do go to some other leagues, but the main three that we focus on here on the European pod, especially when time's permitting, are the Liga, Serie A, and Bundesliga. So yeah, we'll leave it there, Coach. As usual, anything to plug at the end before?
Nothing this week. Just if you want to follow me, Kojo Free Midfield on Twitter. That's about it, really. Yeah. Other than that, when there's something new, I'll show you, man.
Yeah, excellent. Right, yeah. So yeah, as usual, people, we don't see international break. We don't go anywhere. Double D, that's DUBUL on all socials, and I'm part of the D&D Football Factory. Our is at DD Footy Factory _ on Twitter and Instagram, and we go live on Top FM in London. That's 95.5 FM. Probably best to listen on digital radio though. Whether that be, there's actually the On Top FM app. If not that, Simple Radio app, TuneIn Radio app. And we go live on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. till midday with the Footy on Top show. So yeah, right. So yeah, that's it, people. Here for the second episode of the 25-26 season here on the European pod on No Trofters. We are out. Thank you very much for listening, people.